remember Return Fire? This game got really tough really quick, and despite the player being given an army of armoured vehicles to use, I'm convinced that this game was impossible to complete, even with the cheats on. In this video, we're going to storm the barracks of Return Fire to find out what made it such a tough little game. We'll also take a look at why so many people cherish this game, even to this day. I really hope you enjoy this one. Return Fire had a very interesting start to its life. I believe most of you watching who have played the game would have done so on either a PlayStation or a PC, but did you know the original version was made for a lesser known console called the 3DO?
The real 3DO system from Panasonic.
The 3DO version was released in 1995, then it was eventually ported to the PlayStation and the PC in 1996. There were ports planned for other consoles at the time, including one for the Sega Saturn, but apparently this version was so tragic they decided to sweep it under the carpet. Until 2007, that is, at least, when someone uplifted the carpet and leaked it. So, I want to explain to you guys just how impossible Return Fire gets, even with the cheats turned on. To really appreciate this, let's set the stage and explore what you, the awesome player, will need to do to progress through the game. Each level has the same objective: tear through the enemy base, capture the flag, then bring it home. The game gives you 4 types of vehicles to use, each of which has their own strengths and weaknesses. The tank, classic, moved an average speed and was fairly strong. What really set it apart though was how the turret could be rotated. This came in particularly handy if you wanted to stay on the move in an effort to avoid projectiles. The helicopter, as you can imagine, was the most agile of the 4 vehicles. It could shimmy left and right, as well as fire rockets alongside regular ammunition. Helicopters were perfect to send out on what were essentially kamikaze missions to get a quick scope on where the flag might be hiding. Armoured support vehicles, or ASVs, or meat wagons as me and my mates used to call them, are the most robust and also the slowest of the vehicles. They fire missiles which really pack a punch, and they also lay mines, which is something that comes in particularly handy on multiplayer. My goodness though, they are really slow. More often than not, the flag is hiding up the other end of whatever map you're playing on, and if this is the only vehicle you have left to destroy everything around it, it can do it, but it just might take 5 to 7 business years to get there. Now, despite the carnage that these 3 vehicles cause to get to the flag, none of them actually allow you, the awesome player, to capture it. This is where the Jeep comes into play. For the most part, it's incredibly weak, and its only attack is throwing grenades. Well, actually, hang on, it can still run these scrubs over in their tents. Its real purpose though is to capture the flag and bring it home. One sneaky little fact about the Jeep is that it has a flotation device which can be activated when it's in water. The player doesn't want to stray too far from the shore though, because this submarine will turn up with its heat-seeking missiles and... Ugh, this skull appears every time one of your vehicles gets destroyed. Now, although you really are an awesome player, this game is brutal and you're going to lose a lot of vehicles. So, seeing this chap every time just laughing at you gets incredibly tedious. One thing that doesn't get tedious though is seeing a shiny new retro SamBam gaming video on your YouTube feed. So, remember to tap that subscribe button if you'd like to see more nostalgic content just like this. Now that you've seen the horde of armoured vehicles that are available at your disposal, let's explore why and how this game becomes so impossibly difficult to beat. For the most part, it's due to how the levels were designed. There are 18 sets of levels to be unlocked in single player, some of which, to be fair, have really cool looking designs to them. This one here, for example, is shaped like a chessboard, and this one here is shaped like the Americas. In terms of difficulty, the early levels begin by merely tickling the player. They'll kind of lure you into a false sense of confidence. Confidence that you'll beat the game and, what's more, you'll beat it without using any cheats. Yeah. This level is called Inner Space and it's one of the very last levels in the game. The whole map is absolutely infested with enemy turrets, and this is the sort of thing I'm talking about when I say Return Fire is impossible to complete. The game gets to a point about halfway through, maybe at around the 9th set of stages, where it very quickly becomes, well, like this. As for doing this particular level with the cheats on, well, you can forget that too. I put the invincibility cheat on and here's what happened. It may be hard to tell, but I physically couldn't move because there were so many projectiles hitting the helicopter all at once from every direction. Seriously, if anyone watching this has completed this level, or even got this far without using the cheats, you genuinely deserve a medal. This is insane. It's not just Inner Space that's like this either. This level here has got loads, and I mean loads of these little buildings where the flag could potentially be hiding, as well as an onslaught of turrets of course. How on earth is the player supposed to find the flag like this? It would take hours. All of these things are made even more difficult when you consider the fact that all of your vehicles have limitations on their resources. Fuel, ammo, and of course health all need to be kept an eye on and topped up when necessary. The best way to do this is by simply bringing the vehicle back to your base where everything will be fully replenished. Thinking about it, maybe that's how these harder levels are supposed to be beaten. Take a couple of shots, then go back to base. Take a couple more shots, then back again. Rinse and repeat until the level is beaten. Man, that would take forever. So, it looks like Return Fire is indeed pretty much impossible to complete, especially if you're planning to take on every level in the game. Despite this though, there's one final thing you need to know about this game, and that's just how incredibly fun it is to play. Most people won't make it past the first few sets of levels, and you know what? That's absolutely fine because there are more than enough levels here to have a ton of fun with. When a level is complete, this cutscene plays.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
It also records the player's time, meaning they can show their friends how quick they are. Speaking of friends, one of the most memorable aspects of Return Fire is indeed its multiplayer. The multiplayer really adds a completely new dimension to the game. You're not just infiltrating a base on your own terms now, you're fighting against someone who has exactly the same amount of firepower as you do. Countless people have had the most epic battles on Return Fire, and this is one good reason why it's not only considered an interesting game for the history books, but also holds a special place in many people's hearts. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and please subscribe if you want to see more nostalgic content like this. If you have any games that you want me to make a video of, mention them in the comments and I'll add them to my list. Thanks again, hopefully see you in the next video.